Let's see. Yes, we are live. Okay, welcome to our live community broadcast, Q&A, AMA, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's private. We can say whatever we want. Okay, I got to mute that. Let's see, we got a few on the chat. So if you're watching in the chat, I'll give you the hangout to join if you want to ask questions in the chat. You'll need to make sure you either launch that from a Chrome browser or have the Hangouts app downloaded on your mobile device. Otherwise, you will probably get an error message like some people have in the past. So, yeah, first things first, I apologize for not being able to do the updates. I created the event a few days ago, and I intended to do it at 9:30 tonight, but I got delayed. Something came up with my daughter, so I had to put it off till tomorrow. But I'll be doing that still tomorrow with the channel updates. I'm not going to bother doing them right now because I might as well just get them all done in one shot for you guys, let you know what's going on, plans for the fall season, and what I've been up to. I have to record the premium video for you guys for this month. I'll probably be doing that tomorrow, editing it and uploading it. It's about 30 plus points that I've put together on stuff guys should really avoid if they want to optimize themselves. Mostly in the sexual marketplace, but just, staying away from certain things and behaviors that could be detrimental and lead you down the blue pill, thirsty beta path of destruction. So, again, first I want to say thank you to everybody for pledging support, being part of the community. There's a new join button that's on the channel. So I've also linked this private broadcast to those people that have pledged there on the community tab. So you'll probably start to see these gather a little more steam and momentum. I'll be doing on a more frequent basis too. The last month and a half has been crazy with custody, vacation time, and stuff at work and everything else. So moving into the fall season anyway, it's going to be a lot more going on for you guys in the private community. So I want to thank you for your patience, also for all the batshit crazy that's gone on with moving over to the new website. I know DJ had to clean up the list because there's some people that were still on the Facebook page that weren't current pledges or on the website. There were some mix-ups because names didn't match like the pledge PayPal's or, for example, what you use on Patreon. So some people got removed, but hopefully we got everybody back on, and we got it all sorted out now that we got that Google Doc listed for you guys to update. I'm gonna pop out the chat here so I don't get distracted by that. Okay, so this is just standard ask me anything format, Q&A, whatever you want to call it. We'll hang out for about an hour, just shoot the shit. You can either join again through the Hangout. We've got Pavel on right now, or you can ask the questions in the chat too. So whatever's easier for you guys. But if you want to join now, go ahead and ask your questions. Pavel, I know you're there. If you want to unmute yourself, I can start with you first if you want, man. By the way, this recording, if you're watching it, will always be available on the website as well. So I'll make sure it goes in a specific playlist and is linked there. Let me just see if there's any questions coming up on the Facebook page while you guys are all joining in right now.
You got it. All righty.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
All right, great. So I recently joined, I joined the Facebook group about, I don't know, a month or so ago. I read The Rational Male. I listened to the audiobook twice now. And then I listened to the second one not too long ago, and I'm actually going through a breakup. So just a little bit of background. I'm 23 years old right now. Very entrepreneurial. I do a lot of websites and a lot of like SEO type marketing. That's kind of my business. I also do have a 9-to-5 job in that field as well. I'm very much type A, and this girl actually, after stumbling across one of your videos, more specifically I think it was like 3 types of women to avoid. She kind of had at least 2 of the 3 qualities, and I just went away on a trip, and things just kind of spiraling downhill. And I'm just going through a lot now in terms of we live together, so big mistake. Obviously, at 23, we live together, and she's doing a lot to try to make me jealous. Just the other weekend, she said something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I have 10 guys who are hitting me up and showing me attention and affection." And I kind of saw this. I saw this coming, but obviously it still hurts. We dated for a little bit over a year, and it's just like constant shit tests. And I'm coming home to this pretty much every day. So any advice on that?
Which two of the three did she exhibit on those three types of women to avoid dating?
So the first one was daddy issues. Can you remind me what the second and third one was? I wrote them down in a notebook. I
Yeah,
actually
it's
just stepped outside.
I'm supposed to join
yeah,
this.
yeah. It's daddy issues. It's constantly fighting with her ex about custody. Oh fuck! I made that video well over 2 years ago. John, I'm just gonna mute your mic just so. Yeah, no problem. No, it's okay. So it was daddy issues. It was the fighting with the ex over custody and money. I can't remember what the third one was. I'd have to go back to the video, but
Yeah,
it sounds like the daddy issues is the main one.
Yeah, the daddy issues is definitely.
Was it an absent father or divorced father? Like what happened?
She grew up and her father basically never gave her any attention. He wasn't really around.
So he's like a piece of furniture.
Pretty much, exactly. And you know, she's very controlling and always kind of wanted to know, hey, who are you texting, and like, and that sort of deal.
How old is she?
She is 24. She works at a gym, so she's in great shape. She's, I would say, I don't know when her prime is, but she's in awesome shape. You know, she does have a lot of guys hitting on her. When we go out, always guys talking to her. So definitely in terms of looks, she's a very hot girl.
What is she, like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10?
Yeah, at least a 9. I mean, the personality brings it down, but at least a 9. That's for sure.
Somebody's asking if she's Colombian or maybe Latino.
She's not. She's not. She's just white. She didn't go to college, so I think you know, she kind of sees. I started off also before we dated as very alpha, and then sort of as we kind of moved in and
Betatization by 1,000 concessions.
Yeah, and like slowly but surely, you know, I went on this trip and kind of had 2 weeks alone, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm like, I have to like ask her for permission to do this, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, like anytime you have a chick that's had an absent father, a father that was pushed away from the household by the mother, you know, he left, you know, whatever the reason being, they usually have some elements of the borderline personality, cluster B sort of stuff. They're always going to be a challenge to be around. Like they're always going to be crazy in the head, crazy in the bed.
Right, exactly.
You know, fairly controlling. She's going to want to look into your phone, you know, on a regular basis. She's going to question who you're talking to, but yet at the same time, she's going to try to, you know, broadcast out, like, you know, like you were saying, like, oh, you know, I got the attention of 10 guys. So what do you think of that sort of thing? Whether it's a covert communication or an overt communication, she's still just playing little girl games. That's what you're dealing with right now. I mean, you know, you have the pleasure of living with somebody that's hot, that probably, you know, spins your wheels pretty nicely in the bedroom, but you're also dealing with young crazy. She hasn't matured yet. She hasn't figured out how to deal with you know, the daddy issues that she has.
I also, sorry to interrupt, but I need to mention that we did break up about 3 weeks ago. So we still live together because I broke my lease. So she's moving out soon, but you know, things are over now. So
have you guys broken up? Like you're done?
Yeah, we're done. I broke my lease, but I still have to live here for another 2 months. I told her that, you know, she does have to move out. We're both on the lease, so I can't legally tell her to leave, you know, but I did kind of tell her, hey, move out by October 1st, which is, you know, more than a month. And I said that weeks ago, but, you know, hopefully she does, but if she doesn't, who knows?
Yeah. Grab a copy of Joe Navarro's book, The Dangerous Personalities, the 4 dangerous personalities. They're narcissism, psychopathy, unstable, and what the hell was the 4th one? Narcissism, psychopathy, instability.
It was paranoid.
Paranoia. That was it.
Yeah, I read it, and she's the unstable, like definitely flying off the charts.
Yeah. Was it like really high? Because there's like 100 descriptive words for each category. Like was she almost all of them?
So the first tier was, I think it was like 1 to 30 or something. She wasn't in that tier, but she was in the second one, where it was like not in the highest one. There was 3, I believe, and she was in the middle one.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do about it. I mean, that's her own thing that she's got to work on. And a lot of the times they don't recognize it. They don't want to recognize it. It's your fault. You've got issues, you know, whatever it is. But if she's not taking ownership for it, then she's basically telling you this is what you're going to be dealing with for the rest of your life if you're with me, buddy. So get used to it right now, or just, if you've already cut ties, and then just be done with it. Just say, this is my lesson with my first cluster B.
Yeah. Any advice on the jealousy thing? And just like for me, she'll throw it in my face a lot that, hey, I'm seeing this guy, or these guys hitting on me. I mean, and before on social media, she would post very, very provocative pictures of like, no shirt, kind of like just hearts over the nipples kind of thing. And
yeah, that's just attention-seeking behavior. I mean, that's always a bad long-term prospect. I mean, in your 20s, you don't want to be in an LTR anyway, right? I mean, you want to have options, you want to spin plates, you want to have some flexibility. So if you have a girl that's like an Insta-ho, and she's posting pictures of herself shirtless with hearts on her nipples, sort of thing, that's classic attention-seeking behavior, but it's very high on the scale, right? Like, that's undesirable. That's not somebody that you want to be in an LTR with. That's not somebody you want to have a relationship with. It's par for the course. Like, you're getting what you're tolerating, sort of thing. So that's just a chick that you have fun with. Next time you come up against it, you turn it into a plate, and that's it. And when she's like, "Well, I've got all these guys looking at me and talking to me, and I've got all this attention," you just be like, "So."
Right. Exactly. And then just spin more plates. Yeah. It sucks because now it's affecting my personal life, obviously, and like my clients as well. Like, I'm not doing as much work, and it's affecting my drive, and it's, overall not a good situation. Definitely wish I would have stumbled across the rational male and all that before I moved in with her, but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to throw you on a mute and see if there's anybody else that wants to hop in. We got John, CJ, Raphael joined on. I think John came on next. Let me just unmute you, see if I can. John, I think you got to unmute yourself, actually. I can't do it for some reason. Can you do it on your end? Oh, shit. Maybe you got to hang on. I think when I mute you, it mutes you permanently, maybe. Let's see here.
No, you shouldn't be muted permanently.
CJ just came on.
Yeah, he should be able to he should be able to tap the screen one time, and it'll come up and show the options at the bottom. There should be a mute button.
Yeah, okay.
Press.
If you get there, you go, John. All right. What's shaking, man? Yeah, got you loud and clear.
Oh, this is really cool to be here. This is awesome.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. I saw your videos, love it, and pretty honored that I'm here right now. This is kind of cool.
Cool.
I never thought we'd be talking. This is sweet.
Yeah, you're obviously a little bit newer because I haven't seen your face before, I don't think. But I've been lagging a lot, with the private community and these live Q&As. So I should have already done one of these by this time this month. So this is the first one this month. But yeah,
cool.
I'm on for the hour. So you got any questions or anything you want to rap about?
You know what? To be honest, I found your work obviously for women issues too. You ever heard of Corey Wayne?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. Yeah, I did a lot of his work, like how to attract women and stuff. Read his book like 8 or 9 times by now.
Which one? The 3% Man one?
Yeah. So I knew that you'd know. You'd probably know him, of course.
How did you like that book, by the way?
He's not a great writer, but the content was decent. Actually, the content wasn't decent. It was very good. If you follow it, just hang out, have fun, hook up, it's cake. You just get a girlfriend to fall in love with you. And like, he says 7 weeks. I think it's now 2 to 3.
Yeah.
If you get good enough, So, but yeah, but the thing is, I found the one, basically the one that I wanted to marry. But a lot of the shit that I forgot his name, sorry, but that he just said right before that was just now talking. Sorry, bro. I'm dealing with that shit too. So like, she'll go through my phone now, and it's just terrible, man. She's a dime. She's 10, 9 or 10, and she's very smart, tons of money, very straightforward. But
how old is she?
It's like, goddamn, should I fucking break up with her or what?
How old is she?
She is 26.
And how old are you?
Just turned 30.
And I heard somebody in the background say something about being motivated. Was that you or her?
Oh, no, that's my roommate. He just wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah.
He just walked in the room just now. So, but he's
I know their situation, stuff like that. I'm trying to tell him to hold on to a good girl, but he's got some crazy things going. He got a little better going on in his head right now.
Do you think that she's a good girl?
She is a good girl. I mean, she doesn't party. She doesn't do drugs. I'm trying to get them on the right track.
Yeah, she's a Christian. Well, I mean, which doesn't mean much anyway nowadays. She doesn't party or anything, but she's like that really attractive woman that doesn't basically go out clubbing. She's not going to cheat on you.
Doesn't do drugs.
Doesn't do drugs or anything like that. So great job.
Well, okay. Well, hold on a second. I mean, you said something there that is very blue pill, plugged in, thirsty beta, and it's
right.
She's not going to cheat on you.
Oh, that's true. Okay, well,
right. Like all women, given the right circumstances, have the capacity to behave the same way.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, man.
So let's take let's take her down a couple notches off the high horse pedestal unicorn platform, because all it takes is that night that you have a fight, she walks out on you. She's at the right stage of her ovulatory cycle. She's at the peak. She goes out, to the nightclub. She meets the right alpha. She goes home with him. And, that's when your belief system shatters and you're like, oh, I thought this Christian girl was so perfect and everything, and she'd never do this to me. So you've got to understand whenever you approach any kind of intersectional dynamic with women that you have to look at them all the same way. You can't apply some special rose-colored lenses and put blinders on like they put on horses and shit, just to make you, where you actually believe something that isn't true, because you convince yourself of the ego investment that you want to project on her. Like, we always make these agreements with other people. It's like you've made this agreement in your head that because she's Christian, because she's a girl, she doesn't go out and party, she doesn't do drugs. So you've made this agreement in your head with her that she's a good girl and she's never gonna, do you wrong or stomp on your heart. But she's not aware of that agreement. You haven't had that conversation with her.
With her, have I had that conversation? No. This is how I run it now. Basically, this is how I run women, like really hot, attractive women that have options.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a guy. It's like you. You can get women. You used to have women. All you gotta basically do is write a Facebook message and say, "Hey, you want to go out Saturday night?" And they're like, "Yeah." So obviously she's gonna always have guys hitting on her, and she's always gonna have guys blowing up her phone. Basically, I guess what Corey Wayne taught is, and I think you know it too, but the attraction level. You have to gauge where she's at, and you have to actually be smart enough to gauge like where she's at. And so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the higher attraction level, like if she's a 9, I think the smaller part of her, it's the smaller chances that she's going to go home with that alpha that night. Not that it can't happen, but she's going to have to meet a pretty fucking alpha. Or she's going to have to be really drunk.
Or it could just be the right place and the right time with the right guy in the right stage, of an ovulatory cycle.
Right. I want to ask you what your thoughts are on that. And that's what you think?
Oh, it happens all the time. It happened to me a couple of years ago. Like that's what blew my safe world theory up and pushed me into the red pill, was that trauma, because it's happened to me so many times in my life. It's like, why does this shit keep happening? Why do I keep believing this thing that's not true? Why do I keep getting done wrong by these girls that I think that are so perfect and little Christian good girls, and they'll go out and party and all that shit, and then all of a sudden they go out and party that one night and they're banging somebody, sort of thing. So just to kind of go back to the whole Corey Wayne thing, I've listened to his 3% Man book, and I did like you guys know that I've done some video reviews on books before when I like them, and I actually did a review on it that I deleted, so I didn't publish it. But my take on it is it'll get you to like 30%. I think it's a little bit oversold, simply because he'll teach you how to get like the girl and to make the right moves, sort of thing, and you'll probably have some success. I don't necessarily, agree with it. Well, you talk to her on Friday, so make sure you don't do shit until Monday or Tuesday, sort of thing. Okay, fine. Maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't work. Sometimes the timing's better. Sometimes it's not. Like more advanced game will get you laid the same night, 2 nights later, or maybe a week later, depending on how you look at it. So the way that I would kind of put it is it's kind of like a one-on-one session. The thing that'll get you to the next level, like the more advanced level of game or red pill awareness, is the Rational Male series, the Tactical Guide to Women. When you right. Dangerous personality types, so Joe Navarro's book, the one that I mentioned, Pavel earlier, that's like more advanced stuff where you see women for what they are. Like there's an old saying where they say, you can either love women or you can understand them. You can't do both. And you're kind of in the love phase right now. When you kind of lean more into the understand them phase, like the rose-colored glasses don't really distract you too much.
Where they say, you know, you can either love women or you can understand them. You can't do both.
Brian, I just got to mute you because they're getting some feedback, so I'll just hit that button for a second.
Kind of lean more into the understand them phase.
Hang on, there we go.
Distracts you too much.
Okay, I think we got it muted. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, it does. So my one question, which I think is actually going to be an extremely important one, very, very, very good to you, would be this. Okay, let's say you get Corey, you get good with girls, you know, like whatever. You're just good with girls. You keep them. You know how it works. Basically, you get pretty red pill. What the heck? Once you're already good with women and stuff, when you do find that one,
well, there is no one.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Well, okay,
there's good ones, there's bad ones. You know, there's like the ones that break your heart. There's the ones that are just plates. There's the ones you fall in love with. There's the ones that you have the kid with, sort of thing. But there is no one, right? You know, they kind of move in cycles. So you kind of have to lose the laser focus on seeking the one, or if you have, you know, one in your life, that she is the one, because there is no one. There's just women.
Right. Okay, cool. So let's say you find the one that you want to marry eventually and settle down with or whatever.
Okay. Yep.
So after you're already good with it all, what else can you do to ensure that her attraction doesn't leave for the next whatever? Let's say, you know, I'm 30. Hopefully I live till I'm 80, like 2, and I get married in the next 2 years. So what do I do for the next 50 years?
All right. So Jeremy, I know you're on. I hope you can hear me. Can you just unmute yourself? Because I know that you've been married.
That's right.
So we had Jeremy on a live broadcast. We were talking about, you know, our experiences kind of going through the divorce machine. So I kind of want you to chime on this a little bit. So he's asking basically, how do you keep the attraction? How do you keep the desire up? How do you continue to desire that which you already have? Is that right, John?
Well, yeah, keep that. Yes. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Yep. And because there's we're, you know, there's more blue pill guys. Blue pill guys lose girls. Beta males lose their women. Their women leave them all the time. How do you become the guy that has that 10 that's always going to follow you almost?
Yeah. And
almost.
And one of the things,
to what you said earlier.
Yeah. And one of the things that you got to get, because I want Jeremy to chime in too, like I'll just shut up for a bit, is a lot of guys will go through the exercise of betatization by 1,000 concessions. So you're an alpha, you're a good looking guy, you're strong, you got, you know, self-care in check, and you enter the frame of that relationship. And then what happens is, if you don't keep yourself in check and you don't understand female nature and you don't understand your old beta blue pill behavior, you usually get pushed back into it by 1,000 concessions. And it starts with things like, your socks need to go in the purple hamper and your white t-shirts go in the green hamper, and stop leaving them on the floor. And then the next thing is, let's go vegan together. And then it goes from one thing to the other until you turn into a total beta bitch and you're living in your man cave and you're not getting laid anymore. Right. But I want to shut up and just let Jeremy chime in for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you just got to doing all that shit. Her, you know, going vegan. My ex did the same thing. And I never, you know, I never gave into that, but you lose your frame, and it's gone.
Right.
And she loses complete respect for you if you don't nip that shit right now, and you let her push you around and do, you know, that's the biggest thing, I think, you know.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, because I saw that Curtis just joined on, and he's been married prior also, and he was also on that broadcast as well a couple of weeks ago. And he stated during that broadcast that he would never live with a chick again because he knows that he'll probably default back to his beta conditioning. So, you know, like I wouldn't encourage any guy to ever get married, get into a long-term relationship where you essentially hand your wife, your partner, whatever you want to call her, a revolver. Let's call it a 6-shooter, and it's probably got like 4 or 5 of the chambers loaded. Like, you're not even playing Russian roulette. You're basically giving her a 6-shooter that she can hold at your head. And if she wants to, at any given time, she can pull the trigger, and the state can come into your life and decide what happens with your money, what happens with access to your kids. You have to have a really solid frame and really understand female nature to do well on a long-term basis, so you don't get pushed through the divorce machine, so you don't get cleaned out, so you don't have any of those bad experiences that, you know, so many guys have later on in life that get pushed into, you know, the red pill and go looking for answers as a result of the trauma. You're at an advantage like right now because you're in your 20s and you're asking these questions. So you're looking to get answers for questions that your intuition's picking up on, but like the straightforward cookie cutter answer, like what you're basically looking for right now. And I don't want you to take this as a disparaging statement or hate or anything like that, because it comes from a place of love. But guys like you, when you ask that question, you're essentially coming at it from the angle of, I want the cheat codes to the game of life. I want to play it on God mode, so I have no chance of losing at any level, and I can advance and clear the game, like done, right, sort of thing. You got a little bit of work to kind of like do to understand nature, like stick around in the community. One thing I want to tell you guys that you should be doing that you're not doing, that I think you guys should be probably doing more of, is updating the Facebook page with field reports. So was out, this happened, can you give me some feedback on it? You know, where did I go wrong? Like, as an example, there was a guy within the last week or so, he posted something, had a date lined up, she creeped him on Instagram, and then she canceled the date after she creeped the Instagram. And I was like, well, there's probably something there that she saw that, who the hell's chewing, man? Hang on. I think that's you, Pavel. I gotta mute you. Sorry about that. You know, there's probably something that she saw there. Well, you can always post a link to your Instagram, or you can share the conversation, do a screen capture. So use that private Facebook page. I mean, it's a private page. Nobody else can see it. It's us guys together hanging out. It's like, you know, we're sitting in the sauna after the gym, just having, you know, shooting the shit sort of thing. So use it there for those sorts of things and kind of learn as you go. There's going to be another event that's going to happen in 2 weeks, and something else in 3 weeks is going to come up that you need to get some feedback on. You want to run up the flagpole to see what everybody says. Use that stuff. Use it on a regular basis. Does that make sense, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
The only other thing I got to add to that is figure out why you want to do it. Why do you want to get married? You know, and then weigh your risks from there. Because if you get married and you have kids and everything, then, you know, you have to associate the risks with that.
Yeah.
And after watching all of the, you know, the red pill videos that you made, Richard, and then some of the other ones on the red pill community and stuff, you know, I'm a Christian and stuff, but like, man, I got the brakes on getting married ASAP. And I'm fine with it, man. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, like put it off till like your late 20s, early 30s. There's no rush. I mean, you're the prize.
I am 30, and I still I'm not even in a rush, man.
Well, you don't peak. I mean, you know, some people say that you peak around 38. That's what Rollo first suggested in one of his books. But there's been a lot of research now that I've come across in the last couple months that suggests that men's SMV peaks closer to the late 40s, 50 even. You know, depending on how well they've done in life, if they've taken care of themselves, if they're still in good shape, you know, if they haven't gone through the divorce machine and been totally raped, sort of thing. So you got lots of time. I mean, you got the benefit of time. She doesn't. You know, if she's around the same age as you or coming up close to 30, she sees the wall coming, even though there's always going to be a conflict between her hind brain and her forebrain sort of thing. Like one part of it's going to say, you go, girl, you look hot sort of thing. But then the other part's kind of going, well, you kind of smashed the wall and you don't look as good as you did 2 years ago, right? So, you know, her time's going to be pressing her, but you're the guy that decides. Like, men are the gatekeepers to relationships. You are the one. You're in the unique position to decide how long the relationship's going to run, whether or not you're going to get into an LTR, whether or not you like. It's why men propose to women and not the other way around. Women are just the gatekeepers of sex, right?
Right.
Got a couple of messages in here from Trenton. I know that we're starting to fill up on the live session, but he said over here, you know, men have little to zero benefits to getting married, and he's right. I mean, I had this conversation 3 days ago. A friend of mine's 50, so I'll share this story with you. A friend of mine's 50. He's got 4 kids already from 2 different women. One which was an accident in his late teens, and then the other 3 was from his first marriage. Got divorced. He's now 50. He's afraid to be alone. Not totally, but like he's red pilled. Like he reads stuff in the Manosphere. He's read the Rational Mail. He reads Rush's blog, Black Dragon's blog. I'm great friends with him. We're actually in an entrepreneurs group together. So I spent about an hour and a half with him afterwards. And this girl that he's been seeing, she's 32, so she's considerably younger, and she's got baby rabies. She's got no kids. She wants to have kids, and she's putting the pressure on him. But he knows he's marching into the slaughterhouse. Like, he knows what he's getting into. And he actually said what Trenton said right there. There's little to no benefit to men getting married. So if you're going to take the risk, and I understand that there's a lot of influence from outside sources like family and relatives and religion and society and all that sort of thing. But if you're going to do it, you need to vet the woman properly. And the way you do that is with Sean Smith's book, The Tactical Guide to Women. You read that, you look for obvious signs of red flags, like I like to say, more red flags than a Chinese communist parade. You look for those things. So that's one area that you definitely want to understand. The other one, again, is the Four Dangerous Personality Types by Joe Navarro. Read that book as well. Everything that you need is right there.
Sweet.
All right, and I'll come back to you in a bit because I'm going to be here for for a little bit longer. But there's a whole bunch of people that came on, so I'm going to make some space. Pavel, I'm going to eject you, but you should still be able to watch. And John, I'm going to eject you too, just to make some space for others to come in. But you should still be able to watch again. But come back in if you need to after. Okay, so we got some space made. Who else wants to unmute themselves if you got questions?
I have a question.
Fire away.
So, I really like your stuff. Honestly, for a long time, I was a pretty doctrinaire feminist, and between your stuff and a really recent relationship I got out of, I've been reading more and more about the red pill. I can't say that I'm like 100% on board with it, but I mean, as far as dating strategies go, it seems a lot superior. So my question is, I have a history of getting into long distance, long-term relationships where I just get taken to the cleaners. Like, I end up spending a lot of money on people who really, in the end, aren't good for me. And I see myself falling into this because I recently met a girl on an app. I don't know if anybody's used it, Shaper. It's kind of like Tinder, but it's for like meeting professional friends. And she's in Arizona, and we have a lot in common. We've been talking a lot every day, and I'm actually going to go. So I live in Las Vegas, and I'm actually going to go see her next week. And, I'd like to just have some fun with her and enjoy her company. But just knowing myself, like, after my first long-term or long-distance relationship, which ended up in a divorce, I had told myself I was never going to do that again. No more long-distance relationships. And this was even while I was still kind of very plugged in, very, very blue-pilled. But then I met another girl in Las Vegas this year, and she was Dominican. She was from the Dominican Republic. And just as soon as she asked me to, like, I completely forgot about that. Even though I had told myself, no more long distance relationships. And I'm afraid I'm going to do the same thing now. And I don't know how to control it, because I have kind of a soft heart. Like, even with guys, like, if I see somebody like on the side of the road with their car broken down, like, no matter what it is, even if I'm going to work, like, I'll stop and help them. Like, I don't know whether it was how I was raised or something genetically about me, but I just have this feeling like if people need help, like, you have to help them.
Where was your dad growing up?
He at home all the time.
Like, did he spend time with you? Was he like a piece of furniture in the house?
No. I have my black belt in American kickboxing, and I've got 10 fights and 9 wins under my belt. And he did that with me. He was part-time my trainer. Like, we worked out together all the time.
Would you describe him as alpha?
No, not at all. In fact, recently, the last 3 years, he got taken to the cleaners my mom tried to take him to the cleaners, and didn't work out too well for her. But no, even right now, he's in a relationship with a woman he doesn't want to be with. And even though he's tried to leave her several times, she keeps coming back, and he's not strong enough to tell her no.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Well, a little. I'm a little bit tougher. Like, at this point, I used to be like that, but now when I tell women that it's over, I just block them totally. I don't talk to them anymore. I have in my past kind of given into. So
let's use this analogy. I mean, I I've never been involved in martial arts, but I know that it takes a lot of discipline. So you got the discipline to train, to go through all the exercises, to do the pain. You've got that discipline, but why can't you discipline yourself on your non-negotiables when it comes to women?
I don't know. I have a lot of romantic notions of love and romanticism that obviously well, not obviously, but I've been beaten out of them, but they die hard.
Mm-hmm. So you need to kill off the beta is what you need to do. You've got this inner beta, like even though you're reading the red pill content, you're watching videos and you're part of the private community and sort of stuff like that, you're still very blue pilled. Like you're still defaulting back to your original programming, be kind, programming. You see a guy broken down on the side of the road, you pull over to help him. Well, if there was a zombie apocalypse and the shit hit the fan and you saw a guy waving you down on the side of the road, would you keep driving or would you pull over?
I'd probably pull over.
You're going to end up becoming fodder, man. You're going to end up joining the zombies.
But then he's going to die.
Well, hey, listen, you don't want to let other people make their problems your problems, right? You've only got I don't want to spend too much time on this one because I got a lot of people on right now and I want to kind of move around. But I talk about the notion a lot of managing your energy, aka your fucks, and you're dispensing far too much energy on remote, distant, and low value relationships that don't serve you. You're in Vegas. You got this chick in Arizona. You've not met her. You're going to travel. Like, what's the travel distance? How many miles or hours?
4 hours.
Drive or fly?
Drive.
Yeah, I mean, like you're going to drive 4 hours to meet a girl and have some fun. Now, when you say have some fun, are you guys going to be banging? Are you going to be playing checkers together in the park? Like, what's the plan with having fun?
Right now, she's also into boxing and weightlifting like I am. So we were going to do that. We haven't really discussed anything else. So,
right.
Yeah.
Do you see a problem with driving 4 hours to go meet this chick, the next state?
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
So why are you letting yourself do it? At least put your foot down and say, look, meet me halfway.
Yeah.
Or come to me, or, something like that. This came up one time. So, before I move on to the next one, but this came up one time recently. I can't remember who it was. I think it was somebody in Scotland or Ireland or something like that. And he said, I met this girl and she was like 3 or 4 hours away. She's super hot. She's like a 10 out of 10 sort of thing. Seems like a great chick. We have great conversation. We talk every day. It sounds, pretty familiar, right? And it's like, why would you put yourself into that environment where you're exposed to wasting pretty much an entire weekend with somebody you've never met over the romantic ego investment or notion of whatever the swipe told you or whatever the pictures look like? I mean, everybody knows it's watching this right now that, that can vouch, and, you can put it in the comments right now. Yes, he's right. I mean, you see a picture, she's usually 1 to 2 points lower on the SMV scale when you meet in person, right? So what you see is usually not what you get. It's not very often that you'll meet somebody online that when you actually meet in person, like in real life, IRL, they look as good or better. So, I mean, if you get clearer on your non-negotiables and manage your energy better and value it, you're not going to waste it on these long-term relationships. I mean, if you're swiping on apps 200 miles away, you need to narrow it down to 30 miles or 25 miles, right? Yeah. There's plenty in that radius, wherever you live. I don't care if you live by a cactus in the middle of the fucking desert. There's still women in that swiping radius distance where you'll be able to match up with them. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking for a romantic relationship with this. I mean, the app Shaper it's not a dating app. It's more like for meeting people and getting their LinkedIn and trying to build a professional network.
Yeah.
Hey man, I gotta ask this then. If you're bringing that up, if there was a random guy on that app or just a random guy you had just met on the internet and he wanted you to drive out, you guys connected, wanted you to drive 4 hours, would you meet a guy?
No, not unless we've been talking for like a really long time, much longer than I've been talking with her. Right.
So then if it's just for that's why I would question things. If it's just for professional building, you guys, want to work out, want to box together, then that's, the scenario should be the same, but they're not, because she's a girl and because you probably either don't notice it or don't want to admit it. you have the intention of sleeping with her.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, she's intimated to me that she feels that way about me, but I just haven't wanted to say anything because I'm afraid of getting into another long distance relationship.
Yeah, like you're taking too many steps up ahead. I mean, that thought of a relationship shouldn't even enter your mind for at least 6 months. I mean, like every chick that you meet should always just start out as a plate. And then as you're spinning plates, some will fall off and crash, and others, the cream will rise to the top, sort of thing, naturally. But you're approaching this with a lens of scarcity. You're approaching it with, this could potentially be the one. I mean, if you're willing to drive 4 hours, I can only assume that, because I wouldn't even drive fucking 40 minutes to meet a chick. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if you just treat her like a plate, you wouldn't drive 4 hours. I mean, at best, you'd say, all right, well, meet me halfway. We'll go do some kickboxing and this and that in the other town. There's this landmark or this hiking trail we could do. That would be a better use of your time, right? And if she's not willing to do that, I mean, it's not even worth your time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right here.
All right. Who else is on that wants to rap a little bit tonight? I got a few more people on live. We got Raphael. You've been on for a bit. Curtis, I know you joined on around the same time. Adam from Toronto, right?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mute. Hey, yeah, nice to see you again.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, so I met Adam at a Cars and Coffee a couple months ago. So what's shaking, man?
Nothing too much. I guess for question-wise, didn't really have much, but I mean, my experience is a little different. I don't have much questions on the relationship side, and still married, 2 kids. Things are going okay. But I guess, you talk a lot about applying red pill lens to, other aspects of life. And, like, do you find yourself acting the same way or doing the same things, even when it comes to, like, even friends you had for a long time, right? Like, I mean, I've always had the same group of friends forever. And, as time goes on and, they have, different lifestyles than me a little bit now, I guess, like I'm the only one who's married with kids. Another guy, one of my other good buddies from school, he's been married about 3 years, but he's in a little bit of a different situation. I think, his wife doesn't really want kids and he does, and I don't know what they're going to do about that. But, I find as our lifestyles have kind of diverged, I always find that, for a long time, it was always me that was doing the chasing down of people to try to, meet people and get together with them and keep things going. And as I get older and I get more responsibilities, I got more stuff going on. I just find I'm getting real tired of that. Or I just don't want to chase anyone down anymore. It's like, when you talk about that chapter from Rollo's book, the medium is the message, right? Well, it's not so much what you're saying to me, it's how you're saying it. Like if I'm always the one chasing you down, then that's kind of the message. So I'm starting to get that a little more.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had similar situations.
Yeah, I think you said you're in your late 30s when we met, right?
Yeah, I'm 38.
Yeah. So, like I'm going to be 45 next month, or sorry, in 2 months. I started to notice that a couple of years ago. Friends don't have time for you. They're busy. They're too plugged into their relationship. Their wives or girlfriends won't let them go out. Whatever the fuck the excuse is. I think as you get older, you just have to get used to the fact that your circle of friends and your circle of influence is always going to change. It's never going to be the same. I mean, is there anybody that I still hanging out with from high school? I don't think so. I mean, like the last time that I saw friends from high school, we did a camping trip maybe 5 years ago. And when we tried to reorganize another one, like a few years later, somebody didn't have money. Somebody's wife was nagging the shit out of them. Another guy just had a baby and he thought his wife was going to lose it. So it's just like, like these circles kind of change and they move around a little bit. It's like a moving target. It's like right now, here we are. I don't know. There's a couple dozen of us. There's some live, there's some in the chat, we're just men all around the world. We're hanging out and having, conversations about shit that matter to us. And this happens to be one of the things. You and I, when we crossed paths last time, I was by myself that night. You were by yourself that night. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go look at cars shooting flames. And you're like, hey, this guy Rich is going there. I'm going to see what's all about cars and shooting flames and maybe chat sort of thing. So, it's just what you do, right? Men are still tribal though. Like, part of the reason why I like this community and why I've created it and why I want to engage with you guys and why, I got involved with the 21 convention and I've sold tickets to, many of you guys. I'm going to meet you down at the convention is so we can spend time together. We can grow as men, be tribal sort of thing. A far better way to do it is the way that Jack Donovan does it. I mean, he went out and bought land, and he goes there on the weekend and he hangs out with his boys, and they build fires, and they have chickens, and they cut shit down, and they build stuff, and they get high on mushrooms and do what the fuck it is that they want. But they go out and they do those things, and they come back to life and responsibilities, jobs, homes, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is, they do. But you just go and do your thing, sort of thing. So you just have to look for those, for those groups, for those tribal opportunities to do those things. Like that night at the Cars and Coffee, that was a tribal event for men. That was not for women. It was not a place to go pick up women. I mean, there were some women there, but it was a place for testosterone and gasoline to mix, and that was it.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Curtis, what's going on with you, brother? You're looking good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, not much. Just closing on a house. I'm doing my first house hack here in Memphis. So something I was going to write about in the community page, but just real briefly what it is for any of the business or finance minded guys. I think it's one of the I think it's one of the best slow ways to build massive wealth. And all you simply do, and this is US, I'm sure you can do it elsewhere, but you just buy a house that makes sense. You're not buying a McMansion, and you lock in that low primary interest rate. So if it's your primary residence, you get a way lower interest rate than if you're buying an investment property. But in the US, you got to live there for at least 1 year. So all you do is you buy it, you live in it, get some roommates if you want, help pay the mortgage, and then you move out, but you keep it in a year, and then you rent it out, and you just do that over and over and over. By 10 years, you can have $2,500 a month in cash flow if you're doing it right, and that's going very slow.
Yeah. So in 10 years, well, I mean, in 10 years, you could technically have 10 properties, right? Because you got to be in it for about a year.
Yep. I target like a 200 a month cash flow minimum on my single family. I mean, shit, you could go duplex, triplex, quadplex, and get even more insane. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Just all that paperwork.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And that's in Memphis, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How's everything going with the ladies? You still doing the dating sites or the seeking arrangements, or what are you on?
Oh yeah, that made me think of what the guy was talking about earlier. Like, there's girls I've messaged with, same thing. They live 40 minutes away. I met them on seeking arrangement. I know what would happen if I went there, but I'm just not gonna. There's plenty of them around here. It's I don't need to. Yeah, on that I've posted about that on the Facebook page. I think I'm just I don't know. I'm 37. I think I've just gotten to a point where I'm just, I don't know. They're like what did someone put today? Right today, they're a pleasant distraction. Women. That's I feel like that's the point I've gotten to. I have very little interest in them anymore. I thought something was wrong with me at first, like when I had low T, but I don't know. This is different. It's not mingled with fatigue and depression and whatnot. So it's fine though. I'm focused on business, and it's going well.
Yeah, I feel you. I can tell that you're that it's not your personality that changes, but when you start to optimize your endocrine system, there's a lot of people that go, oh, you're going to have roid rage and you're going to be like mad all the time and shit, but you don't. You actually kind of like think things through better. You breathe slower. If you get angry at something, you don't like lose your shit as often, sort of thing. You notice the same thing. Like you seem a lot more calm too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Who else we got on here? Maria Elizabeth, but we got a dude on. That's definitely not a Maria.
Yes, my ex used my computer, so I guess she left her email in there.
Well, welcome, brother. You're among friends. What's shaking?
I'm actually looking at investing in some real estate in a hotel in Medellin in Colombia. I'm in Colombia.
Nice.
So,
you're in Colombia.
Yeah, cash flow is pretty good. I just broke up with her, so it's been pretty fun being single down here.
Maria Elizabeth. That definitely sounds like a Colombian girl.
Yeah, and just focusing on work, fitness. I do a lot of digital stuff.
How did you end up down there?
What? I had some friends that I have a lot of Colombian friends, and then just friends that came down. There's a lot of foreign investment that's been happening in the last, I want to say like about 4 or 5 years. So I don't know, just came down. I came to learn Spanish and stayed. So I don't know. I'm just, everything seems to be lining up now that I'm focusing on this type of stuff, reading Rollo's material and reading other stuff. I've been able to really, I feel a lot more confident about life and just moving forward in business projects.
Do you find that women there don't surprise you much once you've become red pill? Like, do you find them pretty much par for the course? It's the same as what they are in, you know, like other Western countries?
No, it's different than the United States. It's hard to put my finger on, but they're definitely more feminine.
Oh yeah, they're definitely more feminine for sure.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. There's more gender roles. It's I don't know. It's hard for me to come back. Like whenever I go back, I feel really weird. Like when I'm back in say the United States or in other places, it feels different, and it's hard to explain. But I've been gone for a couple of years now, and I don't know. I feel like I'm going to stay here for a while.
Nice. I bet you, you know, Curtis has got some questions because he was talking about going down to Colombia at one point too, right?
Yeah. What are you doing for work, man? Yeah, I was in Bogota last September. I still think about it.
I do like I do a lot of stuff with web properties on different just different content sites, and then a lot of lead generation for different types of companies. I do a lot of lead gen, so I'd say I mostly do lead gen, and then I do some other investing in websites and building stuff.
And is that for like Western companies, or is it local there? Like you kind of work in like a 4-hour work week sort of thing, like Tim Ferriss. You go remote, but you're serving companies in North America.
Yeah.
Cost of living's a lot less. Women are a lot hotter. They're more feminine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it depends where you go, right? Because I was looking to buy a place, and there are literally places next to me that are between $4 and $6 million. So it just depends. Like, you could live really, really cheap, but if you want to live like okay, it's not as cheap as you would think. Like, it's probably about on par with like, say, somewhere in Middle America.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine that's in he's just outside of San Diego, and he wants to set up a I don't want to call it compound, but he basically wants to set up this this house, maybe like a mansion, pooled, you know, gated sort of thing, bunch of rooms and bathrooms sort of things where entrepreneurs can go and work. They've got to be red pilled. They can go and work remotely and just be around other dudes to kind of go and do their own thing. But you're in a place where women are more feminine and they're less Western influenced. Reminds me of that when you start talking about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, no, it just happened by coincidence. Before this, I was kind of like half awake and half dead. Like in certain parts of life, I was very much how you would say like red pill in terms of making money and business, but I just didn't have the other parts of my life dialed. And now that everything's kind of coming together, I can feel that there's a big momentum coming together.
Solid. I don't know, you know, maybe one day in the future we'll be able to put something together where guys can collaborate and get together in a, you know, remote location, whether it's for a couple of weeks or even a few months, and, you know, just hang out and do shit together like that.
I do that every few months with friends in different locations. So we'll go to like, I don't know, Mexico City, or I went snowboarding in Europe last year. Just remote locations, and we do that for a couple weeks.
Gotcha. What's your name, by the way? Because I got you up as
Ben.
Ben?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I'm gonna switch over to Brian over in Europe. Hi, Brian, you there? I don't know if you got a mic on or not. Just want to see how you're doing.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, you
Gotcha.
can.
Yeah, what's happening?
It's going all right. I actually got a fine. I was in town, got in a fight. Police gave me a fine for obstructing what I don't know is in English, the peace of the street. So whatever. It was fun.
How's everything going with the ladies?
Yeah, it's getting better. I'm not an incel anymore at all. So, and just today I was taking the train, and some woman 4 times she looked at me, and it was just like, yeah, I was just looking at her. It's happening now.
Good.
So,
yeah.
But but the fun is, other guys are getting not angry, but they are irritated by me. now. It's and I like it. It's fun.
It's fun,
Because-
isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it's quite fun. I have this. We're always talking about frame, and definitely it's also about frame with other guys. So you just keep it, and they get more and more anxious and begin raising their voice, and you're just sitting. Okay, let's. And then you just begin to speak of something else, and people just turn to your direction. They just sit okay, and then they go out the room. It's nice to be bit alpha, or what you can say.
I'm glad. And the health's good, because I remember last time I saw you was on that live broadcast with talking about TRT stuff.
Yeah, it's going better. My newest blood test, now I'm in the normal range now of testosterone. So it's working now. I don't know why the last couple of months it has been, but I feel better, but my weight loss has stabilized. So I'm not losing more weight. So now I have to do something for it, but I feel the energy to do it. So
good. And Ed Curtis is muted, but he said over here in the comments, dude, I love seeing the growth that Brian's gone through, because I mean, you've been around here for a few months now.
Yeah, I've been way down. I'm still growing, but
good. Well,
I'm taking the steps.
Believe it or not, Anthony's talking about doing the next convention in Europe, maybe in Poland. So that's not too far away for you to get to. So maybe we'll see you at that.
Maybe.
Cool.
Maybe. But it's going all right. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, cool. Raphael, what's happening, man? You got yourself muted still. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. How are you?
I'm okay. How about you guys?
Doing good. How's everything going down there?
So far, a little bit of rain over here and some heat, but so far so good.
Puerto Rico.
Yep. You should drop by. I heard Curtis is gonna join me.
What did you think of that?
I'm going to Puerto Rico.
Nice. What did you think of that Tinder? The hell was her name? I can't remember her name. Natasha something or other. That Puerto Rican chick that pulled that thing in New York. Did you see that?
Have not. I saw the post. I'll see it later.
Oh, you got to watch the video. That's what she said. Does anybody have any questions for us tonight?
Yeah, I do. What's the best way to deal with a dry spell?
Get a hooker.
All right, I'll do that then.
That'll get you right to the point, or just go on seeking arrangements down there and see what you can get.
I don't know how I said on seeking arrangements, but I'll give it a shot. I got nothing to lose.
Well, do it and then report back on the page and let us know what it's like down there, because I mean, you see those conversations all over the place from guys, but that'll certainly end your dry spell as quick as you can snap your fingers if you do it right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to hang out for about another half hour. So if you guys got more questions, I'm here, man. We can chat.
I didn't hear the audio.
Jeremy, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
Glad to hear that.
Hey,
I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Get up in the morning and piss excellence.
That is great. Trenton said here in the comments, he goes, anyone here on seeking arrangements doing it salty? I'm just curious if anybody's doing it the salty way.
What's the salty way?
You don't really pay them. There was a post that I shared on the private page about a month or so ago. This guy, the hell's his name? Bob. He messaged me on Instagram. He's going to be at the 21 convention, and he basically wrote the book on salt dating. But he uses the site, and he doesn't really end up paying them much at all, or anything at all.
I know a guy that does that.
How does that work?
I don't know. He did it in San Diego. Did you hear about that guy in California that was like
dine and dash
and then ditching the girls?
Yeah, he got caught apparently though. Yeah, there's some guys that actually use that system to their advantage, and women get pissed off, which is kind of funny because they go on there with the expectation to get paid for their time, but there's a lot of guys that don't even need to. It's kind of bizarre that it's coming back to bite them that way.
Yeah.
I have a question about business and entrepreneurship, if I could ask.
Yeah, do it, man.
Currently I work at home. I make about 85K US a year. I work for a VoIP company named Audio Codes. And recently somebody contacted me on LinkedIn. He was a British engineer slash contractor who was working on something in Lagos, Nigeria. He needed one of our SBC or one of the Audio Codes boxes set up in Lagos, and he didn't know how to do it. So he paid me 50 British pounds an hour to do it. And I set it up. I obviously didn't tell my company about it, since he was saving a lot of money on me. But that was the first time that I've ever kind of worked for myself, and I liked it a lot. I'm actually here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I just interviewed with another company. The IT market down here in the US is kind of going crazy. I get people knocking me up for jobs so much. And I just interviewed for another company. It's going to be a work-in office position, but it's 120. It's like 110 to 120,000 a year, which is a big jump for me. And I'm going to want to take it, but I'm just wondering, I have been thinking of trying to do more independent, contractor work, like the type I did for the British guy. But it's going to be harder when I'm not, working from home.
Hang on a sec. Didn't you say that you're in Las Vegas, not Salt Lake City?
I'm in Salt Lake City for the interview. They flew me out here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm not sure that I'm clear on what you're stuck on.
So I'm wondering whether I'm just kind of wondering, if I do take this job, and it looks from everything that I'm going to get it, although I could be wrong, kind of how you can go about managing your own business kind of like that when you already have a 9 to 5, because I don't feel confident enough to quit the 9 to 5.
Why don't you post a skill on one of those outsourcing platforms, Elance, Odesk, Mechanical Turk? They keep changing the names on where they get bought out or they consolidate, but there's all those sites out there where you can list your specialty and then people pay you for your time to do the work. Kind of like that guy approached you on LinkedIn.
I did not know about those.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody that's on right now is familiar with them, but there's those outsourcing platforms.
Yeah, you can use Upwork.
Upwork, I think, is the most popular one now, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Upwork. There's a number of other contracting firms that you could contact, but the best thing to do would probably be to save up as much money as possible and line up as many gigs, but you're never really going to get rid of the uncertainty. And if you think about it, having a job is also a little bit uncertain because you could lose your job and then you lose your main source of income. Yeah.
And the problem with that, and the videos posted on the community tab with the videos, if you haven't seen it, the one on entrepreneurship, I did it for an hour. You're always exchanging time for money. So anytime you do, even if you're outside of your job and you do it on Upwork or Mechanical Turk or whatever it is that you're using, you're always going to get paid a certain block of money for a certain block of time that you're doing. The ideal scenario, like I described in that video, is essentially creating a recurring revenue source where you work once and then you have recurring money coming in from that effort. And it's scalable, right? So that way you're not always exchanging time for money. It's always nice to have the side gig or the side income. Some people have criticized me because I say, something like the Clarity coaching calls for me is a source of passive income. It is, but it isn't. I mean, I create a video, there's a link in it that says, if you want to book my time, if you're stuck on this, I'm happy to chat. And I get random texts from the platform saying, hey, somebody wants to talk to you at this time. Here's 3 call options, pick one, and then I'll talk to them. So I'm still exchanging time for a block of money, but I'm not adding the added effort of the marketing, the listing of the job or the gig or anything like that. It just kind of comes to me naturally. I mean, you want to automate it as much as possible. Have you seen that video yet?
I don't think so.
Are you on Patreon or are you on the website?
I'm on Patreon.
Okay. I'll link it up to the top on Patreon, but I don't think I've posted anything that would have pushed it down lately. Let me just see if it's there real quick while I got you on.
I haven't had time to go through all the videos since I joined Patreon.
Yeah. So. Okay, here it is. Entrepreneurship in 1 hour. Let me grab the video and I'll just post it in the chat for you because I'll save you the trip. Okay.
Appreciate it.
That's right there. I don't know if you can see that in the group chat.
Let me see.
It should just be over to the right.
I don't see it. 1 second.
Are you on a browser or are you on a mobile device?
I'm on a mobile.
I think you're going to have to minimize the screen, but it's also on the post tab of Patreon. Just scroll down.
Okay.
It's like, it says entrepreneurship in 1 hour. So watch that, because like that's the best way, in my opinion, based on my experience anyway, if you want to work for yourself.
All right, cool. I'll definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Who else wants to go? Let me just see if there's any questions in here in the chat. Oh, yeah, we got a Red Man group on Saturday. We're talking about the body positivity lies that feminism's been telling women.
Oh, you mean about the Cosmopolitan cover that they show up today?
Yeah. What's her name? The fuck's her name? Tess Holiday.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I can tell you all about the duplicity on that one if you want.
Yeah.
Being an overweight guy.
Yeah. That should be an interesting one. Carl said something pretty funny in the private Twitter chat group. You know, because we kind of have to prep for all the calls with some talking points, and you know, he said something along the lines of, you know, Men's Fitness wouldn't put a guy like Chris Farley on the front of their magazine, but Cosmopolitan puts Tess on the front of their magazine because, you know, you go girl, and people should just accept you for that sort of thing. But men always have that burden of performance.
And not only that, but it's so unhealthy. Like, especially in the United States, like obesity amongst men and women is epidemic, and it causes so many health problems.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Like it's ridiculous. Like I started from the point, you know, reading her Wikipedia details, and it's like, I'm going to put some details together for it. So I'm not on top of all the points, but she says she's 5'5" and she weighs 280 pounds, but you look at her picture, she's definitely pushing close to 400. And she says she works out 4 days a week, but she doesn't really diet because she thinks that it doesn't work. And I'm thinking to myself, if you have a trainer, which she claims that she does, and she works out 4 days a week, what the fuck is she eating at every meal? Like a dump truck full of krill or something like that? Like, I mean, she's literally pushing the boundaries of every health area, you know, cardiovascular health, diabetes, everything, right?
Well, she might be working out, but I'm pretty sure she's working out like an hour only. At least
Yeah,
for me. If what I work for me is to do more than 2 hours, so that way that's why I have lost weight.
Yeah, and for you, Raphael, it's always going to be, you know, a calorie deficit. So you need to consume less calories than what you burn every day, and slowly but surely, like, you'll see the weight come down. I got a guy in my office. I mean, I'm not going to mention it on the broadcast, but he's, I mean, when he started working for me, he was about 360 pounds. Like, he was a big dude. And he used to take naps in the afternoon for 15 minutes in our chill room. And, you know, you could hear him snoring. He was like 28 years old at the time, but it took him like a year and a half to get all the weight off. And he got down to about 210 now. But, you know, 6'3" guy, you know, he took off a lot of the weight, but, you know, you got to do the work. It's, you know, he wasn't getting laid then. And the reason why he did it was because he wanted to get laid. And now he's got a girlfriend. He's getting laid. So he's happy about it.
Another thing people don't realize too is when you gain a lot of weight, especially when you get into the obesity range, your body releases hormones kind of to keep you at that weight if you start losing. So even if you do lose the weight, you're kind of like an alcoholic you're like a recovering alcoholic, in that your body is always going to try and get you back to that maximum weight you were at.
Yep. I can relate to that.
Yeah, so like it's really dangerous for people to let themselves go ever, because even if they drop the weight, they still have those hormonal signals in their body telling them, you know, you used to be 250 pounds, so every time I get a calorie, I'm going to try and save it, try and get you back there.
Yeah. Also, one of the things that starts to happen in the body with chemistry is you're going to produce more estrogen as you carry more fat. And your testosterone aromatizes to estrogen more often if you have more fat. So one of the things that they tell you when you're on TRT is if you're heavier, you're probably going to need an estrogen blocker. Whereas when you're lighter, you don't need an estrogen blocker. I don't know if is Curtis still on? Like, I'm not using an estrogen blocker. Brian, do you have to use one?
No. It's fine. I don't got any signs of it.
Yeah. So
don't you?
I have a comment about the body always want to go to the maximum it has been. It's I've read a couple of tests and talked with an expert in Denmark about it. It is true and real. It takes about 15 years before it begins to adjust. The only thing that works is high protein diet. It's the only thing that can So protein shake is actually good about that, but they have not done very much science about it yet. But it is a fact. It is a fact. If you have been fat, it will always try to go to a max level. So it's if you have been fat, you're gonna have a hard life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a hard life. That's how it is.
It's always it's always going to be easier if you manage that earlier on rather than pushing the
people who have been big are having a hard life than people who are thin. It's just that's just.
And by the same token, it works the same way with muscle too. If you were very muscular at an earlier point and you kind of lose it, like it's much easier to get back.
Yeah, I can vouch for that because like in my 20s and early 30s, I was pretty much the same weight that I am right now, but I was very lean. Like I was probably about 7 or 8% body fat. And when I started getting weak, like the last year and change, when I wasn't able to pick up much in the gym, and then as soon as I went on TRT back in April, I noticed a big difference in strength and energy. And like muscle memory is always there. So if you have the muscle fibers and you've built them earlier on in your life, it's actually not as hard as you think to get it back. I mean, I still have to work hard. I still have to pick up heavy stuff. I still have to eat well.
What you're talking about is called satellite cells. Your muscle build up the satellite cells, and they activate. They go into
A friend of mine calls it old muscle. He said old muscle is always good muscle.
But scientists calls it satellite cells. Satellite. They are lying in your muscles, and then they activate easier. So the best way to get strong is take a lot of steroids when you are young, or 18, 19, and go full crazy.
Well, not necessarily true because I mean, I didn't touch anything.
No, but I'm talking
until
world class, big or strong, and then.
Well, if I showed you guys pictures of me when I was like 26, 27, you'd be like, dude looks like a smaller Arnold, like only slightly smaller Arnold. Like I was big. I had big arms and pretty much like a 50-inch chest and like a 32-inch waist. So you don't need the steroids to build the muscle mass. I'm a firm believer that everything you need is in your balls. And if you push yourself really hard and eat really well and rest, you can get quite large. Like I said, 204, 205 pounds, 7% body fat. I'm about just under 6'3". But you really have to push your body hard.
Yeah. I was talking this talk I had with a PhD in muscle. He has specialty in muscle biology, and if you take a lot of steroids as young, right after you have full grown at 18, 19, and take it for a couple of years and then stop, then you will have the benefit the rest of your life to get bigger. It's why he's talking about professional sports athletes. If they have taken steroids one time in their life and going bat crazy on it, even if they take the 2-year break, they will always have to benefit than people who has all been natty. So he's like,
that's why if you've ever taken steroids in your life, you can never be a natty, even if you've stopped for 10 years.
Yeah, precisely.
You're gonna have an advantage over somebody who's been natty their whole life.
So he's a person who is actually a kind of the testosterone expert in Denmark and training. He's like, doping, we can't invent it to go away. He's just like, you can always go around all the common phases of testing it. And as you said, have you taken it once, you have to benefit for the rest of your adult life. So it's quite tempting.
Assuming when you took it, you actually did the right thing and built muscle with it. Just taking testosterone and then sitting at home isn't going to do anything. You have to go in and build it. But if you do build on it when you have testosterone, you'll always have an edge over somebody who's only a natty.
You'll actually be a little bit surprised by this, but I think I linked it when I joined the page. There's it's called testosterone replacement. Here, I'll link it in here in case some of you guys are newer and you want to check it out. But there's a page on Facebook. Let me grab it right here. The fuck's it called? Testosterone Replacement Therapy Community. It's a group. You can join it. I'll post it in here, and I'll put it in the chat bubble as well if it's something you're considering. There was a couple of people that mentioned that when they got on TRT, like they're older, late 30s, you know, minimum, usually mostly in their 40s, and they don't work out, but they eat reasonably well. And there's people that found that they actually gained a little bit of muscle mass and lost a little bit of fat, and they didn't even change anything as far as working out. That's not me. Like, I can't sit around not putting stress on my body. It's like I can't sit around not putting stress on my mind or doing something to improve myself. But there's some people that actually go on TRT just because they want to feel a little more energy and maybe like bang better or something like that because they're not sleeping with their wives. But they actually found that it does improve it just by not doing anything at all, which is so bizarre to me. I don't think you get the full benefits. It's like buying a Ferrari and then not driving it. It just sits in your garage.
So do you recommend TRT for people with like testosterone and normal levels? Because I had mine checked last week and I'm like 744 and mid-range on free T.
How old are you?
29.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. No, not at that age and not at that level. If you got, I mean, some people at 744 may not feel great if they're 40 or 45, but they might have been at like 1,000 when they were 29. So maybe that's why they're not feeling great, and TRT might work for them. But I mean, if you wake up with morning wood, you have no problems performing sexually, you're strong in the gym, you're motivated, you can focus, you don't have brain fog, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, you want to put it off to the later years in your life, because when you're on it, you're pretty much on it for the rest of your life. Like, you can't come off it. It's just a low therapeutic dose. And my aim, like what I'm trying to do with how I'm doing this, is I basically want to get myself to the same levels of testosterone and a good endocrine working system like in my late 20s. Like, if I can feel like I'm 28 all the time for like the next 30 years of my life or so, I mean, at least the next 10 years anyway, I'll be super happy with that. And I feel like I'm starting to get close to that right now. So it's only something that you really touch on when you need it. You don't want to introduce anything like that when you don't need it, because it can complicate things. You need testosterone, then you need HCG if you don't want your nuts to shrink and you want good loads when you're banging. Some guys have to go on an AI. So you could be on 3 different medications for the rest of your life that you really don't need if you can put it off longer. I mean, for me, like, I just knew that I needed to get into it by this stage of my life.
I'm impatient, as you know, many people know, and luckily I'm not paying for it, but I can see the prices on when I get the receipt and with the package, and it looks super expensive. So
yeah, there's somebody that there was somebody that posted today that's in the States that was trying to get HCG, which he was quoted at about $300 a month, which is which is bonkers for some people. I mean, here it's $130 for 3 months, and I mean, I don't have a problem with money, so it's not cost prohibitive, for me. But there's some people that might want to be on it that they can't afford it. So again, it's if you put stress on your body, if you eat well, if you rest, you should be able to like not even need to look at that until you're at least in your 40s, right?
I get the receipt when I get mine from the hospital. I can see it's around $300 a month. I'm saving, but other countries, and then if you have unemployment, low money in a period of maybe a couple of months, I think you will get really, really, really sick if you stop doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I have been really sick with low, and it's like you want to kill yourself, because you can't walk a mile without getting super tired.
So Richard, has just from the dose that you're on, has your luteinizing hormone been downregulated?
Yeah. So what happens is when you introduce exogenous testosterone, then basically your own production shuts down. So one thing that I noticed about 3 to 5 weeks in was my nuts started to hurt because they start to contract. And I told my doctor, and he was like, well, it's, it's part of the natural process. He goes, it shouldn't be that painful. He goes, you won't notice them shrink that much. He goes, it's like over the course of a year, you might notice like 10 or 15% reduction. I'm like they're always annoying the shit out of me. And I'm like, the loads get smaller. My nuts are hurting. I'm like, just give me the HCG. Like, just put me on this protocol and let's see what happens. And that improved it a lot. There's no more pain in my nuts. Your loads when you blow, they're a lot bigger. Sex feels better. And the other thing with the LH cycle is, I think it's pregnenolone. What's it called?
Progesterone?
No, it's like the precursor to all hormones in your body. Like first it's cholesterol.
DHEA?
No, it's cholesterol, and then I think it's called pregnenolone, which everything else is made from. So as soon as you shut down your own internal production from your nuts, then you're losing all those hormones. And there's a lot of receptors in your body, especially in your brain and elsewhere, that need that to function properly. And I was talking to Jay Campbell about this. He goes, it's about a 50-50 split. He goes, some people, it doesn't bother them. Like they still function very well. They don't notice any difference. Testosterone cypionate will just top it up, and that's all you need. And he goes, for other people, those receptors need to be working. So you have to go on HCG. So for me, it was like 3 to 5 weeks in, my nuts were hurting, and I didn't feel as focused. And that high that I got initially in the first few weeks started to come down. Because what ends up happening, I'm not sure if my camera is on. Here you go. Because what ends up happening is, if this is your optimum level and you're operating here, as soon as you introduce exogenous testosterone to top you up to get you over here, and then your nuts start to shut down, then slowly over a few weeks, and you come back to the normal level. So in order to get yourself optimized, you got to either up your testosterone dose, or you can introduce HCG to turn your balls back on, which will get you up to the optimum level, which is where I am now, which is why I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I have a very high natural production of HCG. I think one of the blood tests, it was like 5 times the normal rate. It was said you are having as much as a pregnant woman. He said something is wrong. So I'm not needing it.
And the weird thing is, it's like HCG, where they get it from, I think it's either from the umbilical cords of pregnancies, or it's urine from women, which is bizarre. So I don't know how they extract it, but it's the natural hormone. It's not bioidentical. It's actual, like the human hormone that they let you reintroduce back in your body. It's just that's where they get it from.
Has anybody here tried Tomcat Ali?
Tomcat Ali? No, what's that?
It's an herb that's grown in Malaysia and Indonesia, and if you look on PubMed, there's a lot of studies on it. It lowers sex hormone binding hemoglobin, so it sends your free T really far up. And I've experimented with cycling on it. I noticed that I lift harder in the gym when I'm on it, but kind of to test that, I had my testosterone tested while I was off of it totally for a couple of weeks, and I got back on my cycle on it. I'm going into actually Saturday to get it tested and see if my free T is higher. So
okay, well, let us know on the Facebook page when you get the results, because that would be interesting. I mean, for the most part, whenever there's like these testosterone boosters put out on the market, I think for the most part, like 99% of them have been found to be total BS, and people have blown like $80 a bottle, $90 a bottle all the time, and all this horse shit. And the only time they think it actually works is when they buy the ones usually that come from China or from Asia, because what they usually do is they'll say testosterone booster, and it's got like horny goat weed and blah 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 and all this other thing, and they'll actually put in ground up Viagra. So because you get harder wood, people think that they got more testosterone, but they're just like psyching themselves out of it. But in pretty much all the cases where they've tested it, like back-to-back blood work, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So I'd be interested to hear that.
Yeah, I agree with you on most of them, but I read quite a few studies on this one before I decided to take the dive and invest in it. The other one that I saw that has a lot of studies on it, actually, which people don't mention as a testosterone booster, is magnesium.
Like magnesium and zinc is a natural mineral that you need to take anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's like that, magnesium, zinc, and vitamin D. And I've increased my dosages of vitamin D like 4 times now. So I started out at like $2,000 IU a day, then 5,000. Even at 5,000, I was too low. Then I went to 8,000. I was still too low, and I'm about 12,000 right now. And I use these oily drops. because it's a oily, saturated vitamin. So I just keep dropping it in my mouth like 2-3 times a day. So I'll see what it, what it says after the blood work. But if you live anywhere north of the tropics, you're probably not getting enough vitamin D. So even if you're in like South Carolina, you're probably not getting enough vitamin D, and you don't get out in the sun. So you really should supplement with it.
I have the same problem with vitamin D. I take 5 pills each day.
Yeah.
And it just and then I get up to normal level. But it's already dark at 8 o'clock here. So it's
but same thing here. I mean, like today's actually pretty cool in Toronto, and it feels like winter's coming, which is so bizarre to say at the end of August. But
I think Denmark and Toronto is about the same degree. But it's a problem. I love it's good to take vitamin D. Not to be an old wife now, but take it.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt you. I'm probably going to run in about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm starting to get a little yawny and tired. Does anybody else want to chat about anything else or got any other questions while I'm still on?
I have a little question.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk about. We are talking about chubby woman who is body positivity, or what you're calling it. Isn't it because women have it a bit easier than men? Women have about one type of man, the ratio 1:6, shoulder hip. Women have a very uniform taste, where men have a very, very broad taste. So some men like chubby, some like big asses, big tits, redhead, So I think women, they can go a lot, they have a lot more space than men to be in the zone where they still are sexy. I think they are misunderstanding it, the women. Can you understand?
I mean, like the thing about women is even if you have even that Tess Holiday, whatever the fuck her name was, she's married, she's a single mom. She had a kid and then she married a guy as a single mom. So it's not like she had a hard time finding a man. I mean, like even women that are low on this scale, will be able to find a guy. I mean, there's always thirsty betas out there, right?
Yeah.
But guys,
I'm a bit of chubby chaser, but it's time class figure. If they have a time class figure, they can be actually quite big and still be sexy, I think.
Yeah, like I've seen women, like I've done all shapes and sizes. Like I know what my preference is, but I mean, I've done the chubbies, I've done very skinny, I've done kind of like everything in between. I know what I like. It's more like in between, but I mean, you don't really know until you kind of play in all the areas, right? You don't really know if you like octopus or not until you try it.
But I have a little observation. When you go into town with a couple of guys, every guy have a favorite.
Yeah.
But the group of girls are all looking at the one man. So I think the body positivity is women, misjudging it.
I think that Rollo said it in one of his books or in a blog somewhere, but he said, there's all these niche sites for, dating chubby women, fat women, big ass, big tits, skinny, athletic. Like there's all these different niches for men to find the kind of women they like, but there's no websites where women are looking for fat guys. Sort of thing.
It's right, or short guys, or it's.
Yeah, there's no websites where women are looking for guys under 5'5", right?
Yeah, So I think the women are thinking, men they are overvaluing their sexual market value. I think they are overestimating how big they can get, how fat and still be sexy. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
And probably. Sorry, my bad English. I'm trying to get better.
No, you're good. You're fully understandable. Trenton says here, he's talking about, being a man and, being alone sort of thing. But he says, at first it's lonely, but it changes to damn, I enjoy my time. And you find out now that you have time to concentrate on you and your excellence. And I found the same thing. I mean, I tend to take my Friday nights off to myself. Tomorrow night, I got to do this broadcast at 5 o'clock to do some updates on the channel where I'm going this fall. And after that, I'm probably just going to hang out by myself. And I don't know, maybe I'll do some writing. Maybe I'll watch a movie. Maybe I'll play some video games. Who knows? But like one of the things that I don't talk enough about is I think that you got to get comfortable as men, not being lonely, but being alone, like being alone with your own company. For some guys, I'll get a dog. For some guys like me that don't want to deal with the vet bills and having to put a dog down every 10 or 12 years, that's kind of how I deal with it, sort of thing. But Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I have a question. You say get comfortable being alone. Try to go to movies alone. Try it.
No, I've never been to a movie, by myself.
No, but I do it sometimes. I can better concentrate on the movie and such.
Yeah.
But people are looking, and it's like it's unnormal. But I'm feeling all right. I'm doing what I want.
I got a friend that goes to a movie every Wednesday before he goes to work at like the early show, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He'll go watch a movie, all by himself.
Yeah, I think it is a good test. If you feel super awkward, you're not at the stage in your feeling comfortable at yourself yet. But if you go alone, I think I'm all right with it now.
Yeah, well, that's what the MGTOW guys get right. Is it's like you got to be okay with being by yourself. Like there's a lot of things they get wrong, but they do get a lot of things right too. So it's not like like you got to balance it, right? You got to understand that.
When I began lifting weight, and I like it because it was me. It was no team effort. And some guys are just they can't do stuff alone. I'm wondering why. It's
They're always used to being with company. Sorry, somebody got muffled there for a sec.
It's me. It's more of a social dynamic that's being planted to all of us that we need to be more social and all that.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
And to some degree, that's right, because you got Jack Donovan's notion of tribalism and how men do really well in that environment. I agree with that, and I mean, I'd love to have a group of dudes that I could go to some land with and build a big ass pagan fire and dance around it or something like that. I think that might be cool. I mean, I've always loved going in the outdoors. I've always loved going camping in Algonquin Park, which is in Northern Ontario. It's one of the biggest provincial parks in Canada. You just find your thing, whatever that is, you just do it.
For example, in my case, I posted a couple of weeks ago that I joined a car club. We drive Mopars, Chrysler, Dodge around the island, and it's basically like that, a group with a bunch of people going around, driving, going to different places, and having a fun time.
Yeah, that's exactly what you got to do. Do what you want. Do definitely what you want. All right, I'm gonna wind this down because I'm yawning too much, guys. It's getting late and I had a super long day, but I'm going to go live tomorrow at 5 o'clock again, just to do some channel updates. So, I mean, if you want to hop on and we'll do some more Q&A, then I'll post the link to you guys privately on the Facebook page and invite you guys in first, of course. Yeah, I think I'll wind it down for the night. So glad to see everybody's doing well, and look out for the recording. If you're watching the recording, you already know that, but I'll be on tomorrow at 5 live. I'll have the private video ready for you guys either by Friday or Saturday on those 30 points. And the Red Man group is live on its own channel on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So see you guys then. Peace.
Thanks.
Have a good night.